The boy kept his head bent down as he heard the footsteps, vellum on glass, soft as a whisper. The library was almost in darkness, and he had no idea whether there was anyone else in the temple. If they were not alone, he knew she would not stop. A light bobbed at the edge of his field of vision, and her intense spiced scent reached him. She smelled of a mixture of incense, musk flowers, and something else he could not identify. Charles? Still here? It's very late, you know. He lifted his eyes. She was standing in a pool of light created by the votary candle she held, casting shadows under her face. I know, but I want to finish this chapter. Do you have to be in the forge tomorrow? Yes, at dawn. Then it is very late for you. What other time do I have to study, Murai? The light, the smell, came closer. He stayed still, listening to his own heartbeat and feeling the heat of shame on his forehead. The proper attitude, he knew very well, was to feel pride in his apprenticeship and peace in his calling to work metal in the forge, to make swords, spears, and other things for the town's sword-bearers. He should not feel dread in his soul to think that he would have to spend the whole of tomorrow's daylight hours bent over an anvil under his father's eye, his skin reddened in the heat of the fire, and his hands growing calluses. It might have been worse. His family could have been earth-turners, called to work in the fields, or dust-turners, who gathered refuse and swept the streets. But an understanding of the reality of what his life would be like had come over him in the last 3 months since he had left school and started his apprenticeship. Day after day, year after year, stretching ahead from 16 to 116, entombed in a boiling forge from daybreak to dusk. Fingertips brushed his jaw. They were alone. Close the book, Jay, she said in her soft, authoritative Murai's voice. You've done well for one night to get so far into such a difficult text. He shut the pages carefully and looked directly into her face. He had determined to say this now, before he lost courage, and before he was too much in her power. Murai Shiel, you know that I can do this, don't you? I know you can do lots of things, Charles. Studying the scriptures, commenting on them, making sense of philosophical writings. When I was sweeping the floors and you let me sit in on your classes, I could keep up with your students, and they were 2 or 3 years older than me and had been learning these things since they could talk. Keep up with them. You were far ahead of my brightest students last year. That's why I've encouraged you to come here and continue studying, even though you have to work during the day now. But why? Why have you encouraged me if I have to spend my life making swords and buckles? Is there no way I could become an acolyte? Is there any path I could take to become priest caste? She laid the candle on the table and kneeled by his chair. Charles, there is no path. You know that. Lon doesn't say anywhere in his word that we have to stay in the caste we were born into. Lon says we should gaze into our inner flame and see the image of God. Lon, my little candle flame, says many things which we, mortal souls, can't live up to in real life. On Anual, of all places, we are as bound as the rock to the ground. Why here? Why Anual? Oh, Jay, we are so far from anywhere. so far from the great worlds of the Empire, from Taysan, from the court, from anyone who thinks or lives or does anything but just exist. If you don't like it here, why did you come? I was sent by the temple elders. It wasn't my choice. But there are some good things, even on Annual. Darkness of disappointment and confusion clouded his mind, mingling in with the rush of excitement as her mouth covered his and her hands slid under his tunic against his burning skin. Of all the things that he shouldn't do, this was so far beyond inappropriate that he had no fear any longer. Besides, she was Murai, and she had taught him